Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Deciphering My Experience. My name is Eric, and I am joined today by two gentlemen that I have had on previously as guests that I welcome back to the show again. I'll start with John Walls, who's on the top right of the screen there, and he's an experiencer out of New Zealand who has decided that he wants to start speaking more since he's been out of the circuit for a while. And then on the bottom right-hand corner, we have Mr. Dennis Sant, who's coming to us from the East Coast of the United States over in New York. He is also an experiencer and has witnessed the Hudson Valley event, which is near and dear to my heart because I grew up kind of close to where that one was at. But in the recent conversations that I had with Dennis, John reached out to me and expressed a desire to see if Dennis wanted to communicate because there was stuff that was worth talking about. So I was very happy to put this together. I think Dennis is a great guy. John is a great guy. I am always happy to make connections. That's pretty much what I'm trying to do on this channel. So, gentlemen, welcome to Deciphering My Experience. How you guys doing today?
Good, I'm doing fine, and I want to thank you for having me on your show again. And John, I'm looking forward to speaking with you. And any seeker out there is certainly worth listening to, and I want to hear your thoughts. So you got the microphone.
Yeah, no, that's good. When I listened to your last video with Eric, it was just triggering things in me all the way through it. You were spot on with pretty much everything. It was just, I was going, wow, this fellow knows. I was thinking, this fellow knows who he's talking about. Yeah. So I thought, oh, it'd be good to have a chat. I like to just have friendly chats. I don't like interviews. I just like friendly chats.
I'm honored.
No, I'm honored.
John, was there anything in particular that's jumping out at you from Dennis's conversation last time?
We was talking about something about like the universe and how it works spiritually. If I remember, I watch so many these days.
Totally understood.
I've turned from not researching much at all to researching like hard out.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch so many videos now because I got more time on my hands. That they blend in, but
totally understood. I'm agreeing with you 100% because I'm even thinking in my head right now. I was thinking more of the experiences that Dennis had, and I'm thinking in my head, you know, I don't even remember the spiritual content in the conversation, and that makes me think of the movie Forrest Gump, where he says, you know, it's funny the things that we remember, and I agree with that statement so much. It's like, of all the things that happen to us, it's funny the things that we remember, it's funny the things that we forget, it's funny the things that we eventually recall. It is amazing to me, and I think that's great, and it's why we need to have these conversations, because there are these triggering moments that are fleeting. They also come and go. You know, I oftentimes, this one cracks me up. I remember things that when I remember them, sometimes I'm like, I'm remembering that I'm remembering this again. I remember remembering it last time and forgetting it since last time, and now I'm remembering it again.
Yeah. Well, I got a funny thing that happens to me.
Go ahead.
As I tell someone something, and even I tell my son something, give him a lesson, you know, about spirituality and that, or I talk to you. Last time I talked to you, within 3 days, I watched 3 videos in a row, basically, on the same day, that all had the same content in it that I talked to you about. There was Gosha from Cosmic Agency. There was Dr. Michael Sala and Alana Danan. All 3 of them talked about stuff days after I talked, between about 5 days after I talked to you last.
John, if I could for a moment, I've watched you interview people, and I want to let you know that I think that you're a real gentleman, and you're a great listener, and that you ask good questions. So let me just give you an airplane view of what we talked about last time we were together, or I was together with Eric. And I won't take too much of your time, but it might trigger some of the questions you have for me. My experience goes beyond a moment in time where I live in the farm field of Nebraska and I saw a bright light in the sky and couldn't identify it. Actually, my time goes back to age 9 when I had a visitation in my room of an alien being. And we spoke together, and it was quite an evening where I wound up screaming bloody murder and having my father and my mother, and most importantly, my grandmother, come to my rescue, so to speak. That's in my book, and the book is called The Other Side of Connecting the Cosmic Dots. The next day, I had an opportunity, or actually the night before I went to sleep, my grandmother had kind of coddled me in the room and said, I know this isn't just a bad dream. She said, and she started to tell me a story when she grew up in the rainforest of Puerto Rico. And her grandmother, who raised her, was a healer in the tribe called Chianos. And she told me of a very similar experience and visitation she had. Now, my grandfather, who lived right across the street on my dad's side, he heard about my nightmare, so to speak, and confronted me the next day and said, you know, son, I want to tell you something that happened to me off the island of Malta. He came from the island of Malta, and he told me about an experience he had in the Mediterranean Sea, where he actually had contact with an individual that sounded and looked like and was described just like my grandmother had, and that's on my mom's side. So we're talking 2 generations here and 2 islands, and I hate fish. And here we are. I lived in a beautiful, very protective community, and we moved to a place about 50 miles north of New York City, where I finished my schooling and enlisted in the United States Air Force. While I was in the Air Force, I was assigned to a very special project. I was assigned to the Air War College in Maxwell Air Force Base, and they had a special project called Project Corona Harvest, where because of my administrative abilities, meaning I could type real well, and that's about it, I ended up in this top secret assignment that was evaluating the air power in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. And for the next 3 years, my job was to go for making the coffee, go for the documents, go for picking up the officers at the airfield and making sure they got home right on a Friday night. And listening to all the stories, every Wednesday there was a barbecue that surrounded the panels of Corona Harvest. And they would talk about their researching that went on, for me at least, from 1968 till 1971, when I was discharged in 1972 as a sergeant and with an honorable discharge. Now I moved back to Brewster, New York, and got involved in government. I ran for office and served in some of the highest positions in Putnam County, New York, with the court, Supreme Court, and Commissioner of Motor Vehicles. And on a particular night in March, I witnessed a city of lights floating standstill over a village of Brewster, where I reside in New York, and as I said, about 50 miles north of New York City. from that point on, everything just seemed to change from me having a 20-minute sighting to be involved in all of the media that went on during that time. And because I was an elected official, and because I had made a stand on not leaking information to the media on actually people that had pistol permits, I was kind of the spokesman of what is now known as the Hudson Valley UFO sightings. And actually, I call it the Hudson Valley tsunami. And the tsunami happened after the sighting and after all the talk shows from Good Morning America to People Are Talking to Hannity to Good Morning. I forget all the talk shows, but certainly on Fox and Newsmax. So at that point, I really didn't want to be identified with being a witness of UFOs or having a visitation. So I kind of kept all this information and other information that continued to pop up in my life kind of to myself. And as this pandemic started to unfold and I had retired from my political positions, I decided to write a book. And this book was about a journey and answering a question, are we alone in this universe? And through this journey, I met the most phenomenal people, from Alan Hynek, who I spent a weekend with, to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to Phil Imbrogno. I could go on the great men in ufology, the pursuit of UFOs as a scientific, legitimate pursuit. So that's where I am today. Maybe that'll kind of kick something in your mind from my last interview with Eric, but I'll take a breath and I'm open for questions.
Eric?
I was going to let you go, John. I mean, feel free.
Yeah, that's what resonated with me. Your early life is basically the same, very similar to mine.
Oh, no kidding.
I was starting to be abducted at 3. My parents told me that I was just dreaming and being silly. But my great-grandmother, she died when I was 19. And she told me I'm 8th Aborigine, Australian Aborigine on my mother's side. And my great-grandmother, she was mostly Aboriginal. And she told me that that I had the gift, basically. I was about 6 or 7 then, just before my mum died. And that was my mother's grandmother, and my father's mother, she was also psychic, and she told me about her little grey friends as well. But not until after I told her what was happening what I thought was happening to me. And it all started there, and I've got lots of abductions that I remember now since my regressions. But before my regressions, I still remembered about 6 or 7 of them. And when I was 3, up until about 7, they used to come to the window and they'd take me and my brother, and they'd pull us through the window, and you could feel yourself. You could actually feel yourself going through the window, and you could feel the molecules of the glass go right through your system. And they'd take us up on the ship, but there's only a few times I really remember being on the ship when I was young, and it was always terrifying. And it was greys. It was the mitra grey and their little cohorts that looked like greys, and there were other ones that looked like trolls. When we got on the ship, there were the big tall mitras. Um, I'd like to say sometimes reptilians. I remember reptilians, but they make you forget them. Reptilians and the greys, they're really good at making you forget what they do to you. You have to go into hypnosis to remember it. And after the hypnosis, it still feels like a dream. And at the 11th of the 11th, 1980, I was on my way to my great grandmother's house for tea on my motorbike, and a fella whacked me in the side at 100 kilometers an hour. He was doing 100k, and I died for 5 minutes roundabout, and went up to the light. You know, I see myself on my body down here. I was here, probably 5 feet above it, maybe a bit high, just laying there. The bike was all mangled exactly where the photo showed later, because I never seen the bike mangled. But when I seen the photos later that the police took, the bike was in exactly the same place as I seen it, mangled as bad as I seen it. But on the left of the great golden light, mine was a golden light, not a white light. Like golden sparklers going off, but millions and millions of them, and twice, like million times bigger. But to the left, I don't know if it's the left or the right, but for me, it was the left. Okay, because apparently it's inverted when you're on the other side. There was an old man standing there with long hair, big beard, and he beckoned me. He sort of magnetically pulled me over. That's what it felt like. And
Like a tractor beam?
Yeah, well, a spiritual tractor beam, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually asked me, he told me my job there's not finished, but I can go if I want. But if I come back, there's a special task for me to do. I'd gone off track. And what happens, and I didn't mention last time in our talk, Eric, was I was being used for a certain purpose by the Mitra Grey. Not good.
Mm-hmm.
And this all stems back to the Montauk thing, went in a past life. And this is what the old man told me, because I've thought about it since, and I forgot. I was going to put this bit in and I forgot. The old man told me that they'd slated me to die at 17.
Okay.
Does that make sense? They put you in a position where you either have an accident, you take your own life, you.
So you had you actually, your essence left your physical body. Is that what you're saying? You had a near-death experience along with meeting up with these grays, which you know, I would describe almost exactly the same situation you were having, but now you're talking that there's a connection between your out-of-body experience at a time of biological death where you left your body and the grays.
Yeah, but when I went out of my body, it was so peaceful. But I'd been going out of my body all my life.
Yeah.
When I was little, I used to go out of my body, and all of a sudden I'd be underwater, and I could breathe the water. And these fish humans that with fish scales and gills here, I was learning. They were teaching me stuff, and they were good guys. So I had bad and good.
That gave me the briefest of flashes of recollections when you said that, John, about like being trained to like drink to breathe in a way was where my brain went. And I just had this fleeting glimpse of that for some reason. Interesting.
I've still got a real strong memory of the first time that they took me.
Mm-hmm.
I was crap scared,
mm-hmm.
and I thought I was going to drown. And they just said, breathe, just breathe. it's all right, just breathe. And I did. And after that, I used to like going. It was good. It was like
John, when you say
better than this life.
they, yeah, when you say they, be more specific. What do you mean they? Are you talking about the Greys? Are you talking about reptile type
No, no.
beings?
I'm,
Who are you
I'm
talking
talking
about?
about. I'm talking about when I went out of body and ended up on this water planet. It didn't feel like Earth. It felt like another construct, like a water planet. It was like everything was that was cities of crystal. It's always for me. It's always been when I've with the good guys. Cities of crystal, cities of light, cities of glass, uh, cities in the clouds. You were talking the other day, Eric, about uh, with the space program person about the ships. And I remember last time we were talking, I told you about standing against that big window. Oh, it was huge. It was
Mm-hmm.
probably a mile wide.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. There's a good
and,
reference.
And and it felt like I felt small. I felt like that big.
Yeah, like the cavernous aspect
like
of this
big.
ship that I was witnessing was
Mm.
it was unimaginable to me in reality, but it was like here I was looking at it, and it was like, well, somebody built this huge freak. Like it was really,
Yeah.
I can picture it. And it was like the structure went down so far as that it went into its own shadow. I mean, it was that big of a hallway. Yeah. Like it just went into darkness.
Yeah, yep. That's the hallways I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But not all of the doors went. They were domiciles for a certain degree,
Mm-hmm.
and then the doors, you go through a door and you're in a totally different part of the ship, could be miles away. And some of the doors I went through, one of the doors I went through, it was a recreation area. And this is out of body, then being taken by Armasus. And it was a recreation area. And it was like a really modern type food court. And but there was no one serving. It was all pictures of the food, and you just push the button and it just came to you. It was like like a replicator, like what's his name? Emery Smith talks about the replicators that they had in the dumps.
Mm-hmm.
It was
could you clarify?
To what he,
could you clarify for Dennis and folks that might be new to the conversation? I don't think Dennis knows who Armasus is.
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
When I was about 40, I've always had this sort of higher entity come to me. But when I was about 40, we were friends with this psychic couple, and we got on really well with them. They've left town since, and we've lost contact. But they brought one of their friends around who was a psychic artist, and she drew me a real quick picture of this entity that was always standing behind me. She reckoned it said to her, I'm always with him. And she said his name's Armasus, and apparently he was about 8 foot tall, with a hoodie on, over down to here. And she said that and it wasn't human. Like the picture she drew, it wasn't a reptilian, but it wasn't human. But in Alana Danan's book I watched just the other day, there was a bird type Lan. She called them the Lan beings, and the name just rang a bell. And not the first bird type Lan she shows, but the second bird type Lan she showed it sent chills down my ticker went into my guts. My body went, and I think that's the guys maybe that have been, because apparently they pick people on Earth and they follow them, watch them, but I don't know. Everything that I've got is my truth. I can't, apart from stuff that I've done channeling, which I've decided not to do anymore because you can let anything in. I've since then or Armasus or someone higher has connected me and connected with me, and they're always there, but it's like they're there, but you don't see them, you don't feel them until they want you to. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
John,
yeah.
and only because what they look like, really, they look as different as we look here upon this earth,
Oh yeah.
to other people. Um, what what in these encounters, what were they trying to communicate to you? That to me is so important to know. I could care less how they appeared or what they, look like, but what were they trying to impress on you? What
Well,
was your message from this encounter? What did you leave with?
yeah. Right. We have to fast forward now to 1980, 1981. When I was being taken by the Greys again. The first one sitting up in bed 10 o'clock in the morning reading a book. And I felt this really funny, horrible feeling like I was going to die. And I looked up, and my mother was standing in the doorway of the bedroom. My mother died when I was 7. And I just started trying to scream, go, because I thought I was dying. I thought she'd come to take me away. And I thought, well, I haven't lived my life properly yet, and I just got saved. And, help! And I finally got the word help out, and it was 10 to 10 when that happened. And the 11 o'clock news was just starting when I came back. And under hypnosis, I found out that the Greys had come and took me. That was the first time they took me. And then not long after that, matter of weeks, maybe a month or two, I went to bed on a Friday night and woke up on Sunday morning out the front on the porch, just in my underpants. And my brother waking me up, yelling at me, thinking I was out drinking all weekend. And I said, no, I went to bed last night. And he said, I've been here all weekend. You haven't been here. And I remember the Greys taking me out the big front windows like they did when I was a kid and putting me on the ship. And I was gone for 30 years. And I was supposed to be gone for good. I wasn't supposed to come back. But same as like Alana, Danan, and this is about her story makes me think she's credible. This was the first thing that made me think she was credible, because that's one of the first things in the first video I seen of her. Right, these good the service to others beings came and saved you from the service to self beings. Well, that's what happened to me. But first, I thought they give me a screen memory that the ship was damaged, I was damaged, so they put me back down to Earth. But what happened in reality was the good guys saved me, they brought me back down to Earth, then they showed me my whole life. I get a lot of deja vu, but I don't actually remember the little things. It's the big things that are coming, okay, and that have happened already, that I've already prophesied. It's in the book that I had written about me. I didn't write the book. And then they said they were going to give me something called soul codes. I didn't understand it, but they had to make sure that I had a good chance, I still mightn't make it, of getting through to what they called the great event. And then they told me I'm not special. I am no one. I just have the capacity to carry these soul codes, and there are millions of us here on this earth. Not just me. I'm nothing special. It is nothing special. Now, what that entails is in the way back, around Sumerian times, maybe a bit earlier, probably the last epoch. The Council of 12, and I've had this confirmed by the Paranormal Now guys. It's a channel. They're two guys from Wales who talked to the Council of 12 on the spirit box. The spirit box that they got, and they've told them things that have come to pass within months, like whack, 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 whack. And I was watching them, and they're doing so good. They were. I'm having a break at the moment, but and I just got hold of them, and they said anybody who said a UFO, because they started getting UFOs and abductions and stuff, and I started talking to them. And they want to be on the show, and I thought, oh, I don't want to do any more. I've been retired for years, and I thought, I like these guys. They're only getting about 100 views a video, and they're the sort of people I like. But Eric is a bit different. I like Eric because, like, he was so articulate, and the way he interviewed was just my type of. It just resonated with.
It's all right, John. I don't care if you watch other YouTube channels. It's okay.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, just one or two.
You cheating scoundrel.
John,
such a cheat.
I gotta ask you again, only because you and I could go off into realms that we'd be here till till the sun came up.
Back to it.
But what? Okay, what was the message? What was the reason? What was the message? What did they leave you with? What did you leave with? I mean, all this contact, they're somehow influencing you. And what is it? What is it that they're trying to convey to us?
Yeah. Well,
through you.
We were contaminated. Okay? Humanity was contaminated an epoch ago. That's like... And
contaminated with what? A plague or a sin? Or how were we contaminated? With what? The sin?
Souls. The Council of 12 had a big war, right? Each of them that took sides, and there was a good army, the bad army, and the bad side won. Okay, now when the Council of 12 works right, they only let in viable souls, right? You've got to be viable to make it to Earth, because Earth is the hardest environment you can live on in the third dimension. Okay, there's third dimension, and that's got 12 densities. Okay, 10 or 12. I think it's 12. I'm sure it's 12. And this, you have to be really strong to come down. When we go home, we're classed as heroes because we've been down here. Even if you've only been down here for a couple of minutes as a baby, when they go home, they are so revered, and they become the higher ones. Okay, but they've always got a higher one that's been down here with them to make sure that everything's all right and everything goes as planned. And if it doesn't go as planned, you get to do exactly the same one again.
I just want to interject just for a second, following the logic, right? So then when we have someone who comes down here in this 3D environment that you just mentioned, and they do more than just have a couple of moments as an infant. Let's say they reach the level of prophecy, like a John the Baptist or a Jesus the Christ, and then those folks leave here. They must, I mean, if we call them deities here, I just can only imagine what they're like regarded as when they leave here.
Well, remember what I told you last time, how the Celestials come down for holiday?
Mm-hmm.
And a lifetime's like 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one I had to save.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the other things I'm here for. I'm here to help souls on back up over. I've been doing that for years.
There you go. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear through all of the things you said.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing you said. How long are you going to keep me holding on over here? I want to hear the meat. No, I agree with you 100%. So you are there almost like a guide to get them to get over a hurdle, so they can also hear the message. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the viable.
I think I understand. I think I
because
understand.
there are
I don't think I was ever involved as or intertwined as you are in this, and you have insight I don't have. So I want to let you know that my ears are open over here. I have no criticism and I have no judgment whatsoever. Does it sound a little odd? Yeah,
yeah.
but that's okay. The things I have encountered sound a little odd also. And, you know, I wonder if my grays and your grays will have them contact one another so we can get together. Your people and
Well,
my people.
how do we not know that they didn't put you on Eric's show so I could see you? We don't know, you know. There's things we don't know. With the universe is just.
You are right. I agree with you. Actually, I think it's kind of like a destiny. I mean, the people that have been put in my pathway along this journey, every single one of them has added to it and to the dimension of it. So, John,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm excited about what I've heard from you. I'm excited that you were given a second chance in life, that you didn't leave us biologically, but you're here among us, definitely in the spiritual realm. And I'm excited to hear your mission of going out and kind of being a little bit of an evangelist with one, death doesn't end anything. And two,
Doesn't it?
we're kind of held accountable for the things we say and do.
Yeah. Yeah. When you go for your life review, I never had my life review because I came back. But I was shown a few things that I did wrong. They weren't bad, but they were just wrong decisions. And another thing that actually happened was that I didn't tell Eric last time. One of my abductions for me and my brother, and this came out in a hypnosis, that when the Greys took us, they told us they were going to kill our mother because we weren't cooperative. It felt like a long time for us as kids, you know, when you're little, time feels longer. Not long, probably the same year my mother died. So, you know, I didn't know that until 42. But as I say, channeling, it's tricky because when I'd channel Armasus, I'd go into this light, fluffy cloud realm and just sit there for a couple of minutes, and he'd be talking through me for an hour and a half. And for me, it felt like just a couple of minutes. But he came out with a lot of stuff through me, and some of it I knew. And he talked about what's happening now. He talked about the Gulf oil spill. He talked about the tsunami. He talked about in Banda Aceh. We said Asia. All years before it all happened. He told us about humanity was going to be given a virus, and most of us are going to survive because of the spirituality, the amount the spirituality had risen and will rise till by the time. But the virus is the start of the Great Awakening, the Great Event. So we're at the start, or a little bit past the start of the Great Event now. But most people won't even know anything about it or feel it or know about it. Only the real spiritual type people will know, will get what I'm talking about. And the crescendo is the great flash that everyone's talking about. And it's going to be nothing like they're talking about. Nothing. I've been told, and Armasus is still in touch with me, but very subtly. Do you know what I mean? Like, he puts things in my head. And when I say right? Now, I didn't know this to start with, right? But only when I'm talking to, say, people in interviews about my life, I say a lot, right? And I just found out recently, since the last video with Eric through Alana Danan, that people who say are connected to Prime Creator. And the keeps you connected. Up, back, up, back, up, back. And it tells you it basically puts Prime Creator or one of your higher guides basically talks through you. And I went, that makes total sense. And that when something puts a shiver down my spine, I know it tends to be right. And when something makes me feel sick in the stomach or
it's got to be wrong.
Or a twitch, it's wrong. And you learn that. You learn from experience. I've made a few really stuffed up.
That's why they say
things.
When you have a gut feeling, it's like your mind is in your gut, or the Chinese would say in your dantian, the place that you feel things. Listen, my friend, you are a very intriguing person. I know you are gifted. I can feel that. Your encounters and my encounters with these visitors are a little bit different. Mine are very loving, very peaceful, very encouraging, very sharing of technology. But I know this, and you've just kind of nailed it home. There's another side, yin yang. There are those that in our world are evil. They're evil in the way they conduct themselves, and they're evil in what they desire for our world. So there's good and bad. There's no doubt. But I got to tell you, my friend, my encounters have not been as scary or as intimidating as yours are. Mine is almost like, and I have been given life reviews, and I have seen things that I have done in the past. For example, a colleague who I never got along with, and all of a sudden I'm seeing this whole thing unfold in the sky where I treated her like a piece of crap. And I saw how it affected her staff, affected her husband later on. I was given an insight into what my words, how they rippled in her life. And I remember I also came back to her and apologized to her and her staff, how I spoke out of turn. And that was 27 years ago. Today, we still get along. And today, we still go out and have a lunch and barbecue together. So it's like that old adage of karma. You say, what I put into the ground, the seed I put in it, is it kindness? Is it loving? Is it peaceful? Those are the types of crops that are going to grow. So as I know, you have felt into a dimension that you've seen some really dark things. I have not seen that. And my cry to the world would be, they are coming back and they are here among us. And we should welcome them with open arms and open hearts and open minds. If they wanted to hurt us, they could have done that years ago, generations ago, eons ago. Their technology is so beyond where we are. If it was for something bad they wanted in this life for us, they could have accomplished that a long time ago. But I don't see that. And all the reports that I did on bogies in Vietnam and Southeast Asia, although they were spotted, these objects and even interactions with alien beings, it was never the type of thing where they felt that doom was coming on them. It was almost like watchers. It was almost like guardian watchers that are looking over this freaking mess we brought onto this world. And never once have I seen or felt that they've intervened in a way that's been negative or actually everything and every intervention I see, just turn on the History Channel and look at Giorgio, and look at Von Däniken and all these great people that went dip into their own pocket to travel around the world to find factual evidence that these beings have been here and have affected our lives. So, but please don't think that I am judging you, my friend. I think that you are gifted and that you have been chosen to see these things. It's like the yin and yang. You're seeing the immediate dangers, and I'm seeing the immediate hope.
I think this goes to show us how prejudices kind of work in our society to begin with, right? For the most part, people are good.
True.
It doesn't mean you can't get killed by one.
That's right.
I'm an American, and as a tourist, we often hear people that go down to Mexico and like, I had the greatest time ever. That's what you hear for the most part. But then you'll hear a few folks that'll come back and they'll say, I got robbed. Mexico is the most dangerous place in the world. You should never trust a Mexican person. They're going to cut your, you're right. It depends on your experiences for certain.
But and that's well put.
Yeah, and I think this just goes, it's a micro and a macro that we need to understand that here we are, and our world is the same as the off-world. The off-world is going to come in the same way as the on-world. All of these species, these off-world things, Dennis is right. If their intent was to wipe us off the face of the earth, we already wouldn't be here. So we already know, in general, they're apparently not against us, or we wouldn't be here having this conversation. But we also have experiencers like John and some other folks out there as well, that it's almost like they get robbed and mugged, so it's a different scenario. And all possibility exists always, but this is why we need to have these dots connected so that we, as an earthbound species, can start to understand what's going on around us in actual reality, that we don't have to be so apprehensive, that if we do start seeing things fly around, we don't have to run around like Chicken Little saying the sky is falling and it's an invasion. I don't think that's the case at all. But in some certain capacity, I guess we don't want to walk down the dark alleys of disclosure either until we're a little bit more prepared.
Some things are taken out of our control, and it's sad to say that, and I hate the term, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But, John, I think that you and I have seen different sides of this phenomena, and I think that's very good and very healthy. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want the world to think that we shouldn't be cautious, that we shouldn't be alert. I just want the world to be welcoming and be open-minded and open-hearted. So people would listen to you and they would be very wary about what tomorrow might unfold. Or if they listen to me, silly me, they might go, oh, I can't wait for tomorrow to come because it's got to be better than today. And of course, you and I know tomorrow never, ever comes.
Never comes. It's always the now. Yeah.
Because we live in be here now.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. I always start off with the worst and I end with the best. I try to, at least anyway. About probably 27 years ago, maybe a little bit more. I caused someone to die. And I felt really bad. And I went into a depression. And the good guy, I remember, this is another abduction. This is one I remember. And they told me that this was meant to happen. It was his time to go. But I was put involved with it because I had to learn the dark side to truly understand the good side from where I'm going when I finish here. This is apparently my last time here.
Well put, John.
Yeah. And
you and I are just coming at this in different directions.
Different angles. Yeah.
And Lord knows they need to hear your concerns as much as they need to hear my euphoricness. Tomorrow's got to be freaking better than today.
Yeah, I've had the euphoric as well. I've had both sides. Um, like I don't know if you've seen my video with Eric. It's really hard to hear the last one because my mic's not very good. But I had I've now for, shit, probably 18 months now. On and off, I've had these golden beings of light with what I call liquid rainbow light running through their veins, and they're corporeal. You can see through them, and their vibration so high it took them months and months and months to even get near me and touch me. And then they give me a mission out of body, and I went and done that mission, saving a celestial who'd been. I call them celestials. That they're happy with it, so I don't know. They're pure unconditional love, but they come down here. They're here all the time. They come down for lifetimes. Me and Eric talked about it last time. If they come down for 100 lifetimes, well, that's only 200 days for them, because a lifetime for them, if you live to your 80s, like most of them like to live into their 80s. If you come and do a lifetime, it's only like 2 days for them. So they come and do 100, 1,000 lifetimes. But for the ones that come down and do over 1,000 lifetimes, in just boom, 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 die, come back, die, come back, die, come back. They forget sometimes, just a minuscule amount of them forget that they're a celestial, and they go back into the after realm, and they want to get back down to Earth. But we've got to whack them out of it, and we've got to send them back home so they can go through the remembering, go through the debrief, go through a whole heap of stuff we wouldn't even understand. And I lost my train of thought. But
I do that all the time.
It's all good.
But I do it because I'm old.
Yeah, yeah, I'm getting that way. Yeah, and since I hurt my back, on and off, I've been on a lot of drugs. It's like just sort of morphine and codeine and stuff like that. Morphine when it's really bad, codeine. But like I'm not addicted. I don't take it unless my back gets really bad. I did get addicted there for a little while, probably about about 6 or 7 years ago. And I went off, and I thought it was going to be hell, and I didn't even get withdrawal symptoms. My doc said, "You've been on these pills, and this is going to be hard to do it." She said, "Do it real slow." So I went, right. I went home that night, and I stopped taking. I had 2 sleepless nights. And when I went back to the doc, probably 2 months later, she asked me how it was, and I said, I had 2 sleepless nights, and she couldn't believe it. She said, "No." I said, "Yeah, I only had 2 sleepless nights."
Because you have a strong constitution.
Yeah, well, yeah. Some of the things that's happened to me, I still reckon that, and it's happened to I got 3 kids, and all 3 kids have special abilities. But it's just life, for me. But I think for the average person, it'd break them, because it's nearly broken me a few times. The worst, best one that ever happened to me was when the Celestials, right, what happened with them, just very briefly, right? Probably, yeah, it took them 6 months, so 18 months and 6. So what's that, 2 years? About 2 years ago, they come to me the first time. They pulled me out into a big dark room. They turned up like 100 feet away. And all of a sudden, I was like, but euphoric.
Excuse me for a minute.
I'm listening, John.
Right. And yeah, it was euphoric.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll wait for Dennis to get back.
He's right here.
Because,
He's turning the light on.
Yeah.
Dennis, I think
That's all right.
Sorry about that. It was getting dark in the room. Well, you know what? It's 5:15 here. You got, John's he's in the morning. He's having his second cup of coffee, and you haven't even had lunch. But I got to tell you, gentlemen, it's been a rewarding, enlightening time that I spent with both of you. Eric, you're a great interviewer. You let the people being interviewed get out what they have to get out. So you're a great listener. And I'll tell you this one story. And the story is, if the two smartest men in the whole world got together and they were placed in a room for 1 hour, and one spoke and the other listened, who would be richer in that encounter? And you do that very well. You're a good listener and you respond to the questions. John, you take care down under. I hope, obviously,
you too, Dennis.
We connected dots on this, and we saw things from different points of view, but we certainly saw things that are happening not only afterlife, but in this universe, that we are not alone. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in person one day. You take care. God bless you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you. I presume you have to get out of here then, huh, Dennis?
Yeah, my wife's been shaking up a cocktail for me for the last 15 minutes.
No problem at all, Dennis. I really
Hey,
appreciate.
Kathy, come over here and say hello to these people.
I really appreciate the time that you gave us today, and we'll definitely have to do this again sometime. I did notice that I wanted to say it was so funny that you went to get the light. Hey, how you doing today?
This is Kathy.
Nice to meet you, Kathy.
She's the reason we all got hooked up.
There you
She's
go.
the reason that I'm going to be leaving you guys across the world like this, because she means the world to me, and it's our time.
I totally understand. And everybody has to have their priorities.
Well, I don't have the earphones.
I do.
Yeah.
Eric, you're a gentleman. You take care. I can't wait for the next time we can talk. This was an hour, you know.
Yep.
I'm not used to
oh, no
being
worries.
on the hot seat for an hour.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
No commercials or anything.
We'll get you all geared up.
Take care of your beautiful children, John. They are gifted. We might not see where they're gifted. Being the dad you are, you're going to find the special things in each one of them that puts them head and heels above anybody else. And you take care of yourself.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, John.
Is the island burning up or what, John?
No,
we're not
too bad. We're good. Yeah, there's a few little fires, but it's not like they're making it out to be. But thank you for the contact, Dennis. You have a beautiful soul. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day, everybody.
God bless.
Thank you.